If you stood in the middle of a rainforest, you would see this chaotic battle between towering trees, mammals, reptiles, and birds. But in 1997, a young researcher named Toby Kiers went to a remote island in the Panama Canal. And what she discovered was the real action was not above the canopy, it was underground. By the way, that's Toby Kiers. She was obsessed with a microscopic kind of fungi called mycorrhizae. And mycorrhizae are quite abundant. In fact, if you just take 1 hectare of forest land and take the mycorrhizae in it and stretched it, they would be the length of multiple Amazon rivers. So that's how abundant they are. But here's the interesting part. We always thought of fungi as simple helpers or parasites. What she discovered was fungi and plants are not just living together, they are running a global economy that rivals our own. But you might ask, how? Fungi actually penetrate the roots of plants and they provide the plants with nitrogen and phosphorus. Plants in turn, who can photosynthesize using sunlight, they provide the fungi with sugars and fats made of carbon. For a long period, scientists looked at this and just said, wow, it's a cooperative system, just like a kindergarten where everyone shares. But Toby Kiers asked a harder question. Nature is full of parasites and cheaters. Why wouldn't the fungus just take the nitrogen or phosphorus from the plant and give nothing back? She actually suspected that plants and fungi aren't just holding hands, but they are engaging in a fierce economic trade. She wanted to know if there was a market price, or you can call it a fluctuating exchange rate between the nitrogen and phosphorus that the fungi produce and the carbon that plants provide. To prove this, she actually did her PhD on legume plants. To be specific, soybeans. You might ask, why soybeans? An interesting fact about soybeans is that they form a symbiotic relationship between rhizobia bacteria. This bacteria can actually convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, which you might know it's quite important for plants. So the bacteria supplies the soybean plants with ammonia, and the plant in turn supplies the bacteria with sugars and fats made of carbon. If this was a sharing relationship, the soybean should treat all of the bacteria equally. But this is not what actually happened. As soon as the bacteria stopped providing the plant ammonia, the plant cut off the oxygen supply to that particular part or to that particular bacteria. This actually stopped the bacteria from reproducing at all. So it actually sanctioned them. The plants are essentially running a no good, no payment system. The soybean has a partner choice. If you don't have goods, you don't get paid. This aggressive partner choice isn't sharing, but in fact, it's a brutal underground market economy. And in fact, this behavior is the definition of a market economy. Kiers actually took this one step further. She wanted to see this trade happen in real time. So she teamed up with biophysicists and chemists to use something called quantum dot nanoparticles. And why do we use them? You can't actually see nutrients traveling through the plant with a naked eye. So what the scientists did is actually tag the nutrients with these quantum dots. And these dots shine under UV light. So when the plant absorbed these nutrients, And when you shine UV light on the plant, you can actually see where the nutrients are flowing inside the plant. So that's why they use them. So now back to the story. By tagging these nutrients with different colors, they could track the trade. They even built a robot that could image these networks continuously. And after this, they found three interesting findings. Number one, fungi hoard resources when the prices are high. They save resources when there's plentiful times and use them during lean times. And they respond to supply and demand really quickly. And they also found out one really interesting fact is that fungi trade with trees in the sun more than the trees in the shade, because the trees in the sun produce more sugars. So they actually knew who the rich clients were. This is what keeps scientists up all night. These organisms don't have a brain or a centralized nervous system, but we humans, we have brains, we have centralized nervous systems. We have CEOs, we have centralized stock markets. So our system is a centralized decision-making system. But fungi, they have a decentralized decision-making system. Without a single neuron, fungi built a trade network that created the world as we know it. You might ask how. Kiers says that 450 million years ago, there were no plants on land. Microbes and fungi helped plants to migrate from the oceans into land by breaking down rocks into nutrients. By doing that, plants could then grow on land, which in turn reduced CO2 levels by 90%, which means fungi and microbes help create forests, grasslands, and also the atmosphere. That's really fascinating, right? Kiers also argues that since these fungal markets have been honed by millions of years of evolution, they might be more advanced than the human economy, which is only been in existence for a few millennia. Also, large tech companies have approached her in order to build artificial intelligence that mimics decentralized intelligence. Next time you see a mushroom or a tree, don't just see nature, see an economic superpower. One last thing to say, you might be wondering why your houseplants keep dying. And Kiers has a theory for it. Maybe we are restricting them from their natural trade networks by planting them in a pot. So actually we are preventing them from doing business. Thanks for watching.